You want to make your fantasy sports league more than a fantasy? Then you need Trophy Smack.
It's the #1 store for fantasy and tournament trophies, belts, draft boards, loser awards, and other ridiculous products.
Trophy Smack is more than just a trophy company with outstanding customer service and products. It's the very essence and heart of every fantasy league. And if you click now, TrophySmack.com gives you free shipping, a free loser poster, and can have the hardware to you in a few days. Bragging rights included. Go to TrophySmack.com right now and take your fantasy league to the next level.
What's up, and welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour with your hosts, Doug Eddy, Tim Keller, and Tyler Gunther. Bring us all inside the huddle. Whether it's in-season or off-season, this is your spot for the best and in-depth Dynasty fantasy football advice. So let's not waste any more time and get right to it with Doug, Tim, and Tyler with another Dynasty Happy Hour.
What is going on, everybody? We are back. It has been a couple weeks, but we are back. And yes, we have had kind of scheduling issues back and forth. We really wanted this episode to happen. The Animal Comp episode is finally here. We bring on our special guest every year, Matt Price, who knows animals from all over the world. I mean, he's stunned me on a lot of animal comps. But first, we are brought to you by Fantasy Points. You won't find a better deal from a major fantasy content provider. Their season-long DFS betting content, massive NFL draft and prospect previews and reviews by Greg Gossell, live stream best ball drafts with NFFC. Those have been great. Analytic Power draft tool. You know, almost 90% of people have made the fantasy playoffs last year, which is an insane amount of success. This is what you need to succeed in fantasy football. The code is 21DHH10. Go to fantasypoints.com/subscribe. To subscribe, there's going to be lots of free content on there as well by Graham Barfield and Scott Barrett. So if you can't afford it, don't throw it. There is a lot of stuff that you can find there on the free content. Once again, use code 21DHH10 to get your subscription today. Tim, it's just you and I. Doug is Pool Doug today. He has some company. Pool Doug is happening, so it is just us. But yeah, we have our guest.
He sent us some pictures earlier from, the setup for Pool Doug. Maybe I should put those on my Instagram or something so everybody can appreciate Pool Doug.
I mean, we could probably put him on our own Instagram and act like it's our pool. Because I feel like he's not that, be like, yeah, just living that best life. Kind of fit in with that Instagram crowd.
There you go.
But yeah, let's bring in our guest. Our guest, like I said, is Matt Price from DLF. Matt, how's it going today?
It's going good, man. Good. It's fun to come back for this show every year. I mentioned to it earlier, but I feel like I'm starting to go back to things that I've already comped to other things before. But there's archetypes that you just kind of go back to. So maybe I think I got at least one original one today. We'll see how you guys feel about the other two.
This is always my favorite episode. It's something different. I have fun researching these animals, and sometimes you find one that you're like, man, this seems like to be a perfect fit. And other times when you draft this player, because we just do a 1-round draft, there should have been 4 of us. We have Doug's comps, but my first pick in the draft, I bounced back and forth between like 3 or 4 different animals, and then I finally decided, okay, this is what I'm going to go with. And then when I started to write the comp out, I was like, man, I just don't know if I love this, so we'll see how it all goes. But
yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. We're going to get right into it. Actually, first, we had a trade happen today that I want to bring up, and it's my beloved
NFL trade.
Yeah, NFL trade, not my trade, but I wouldn't have made this trade. You guys know me. I would have never traded away Julio, but Julio has been traded to the Titans. This one hurt. I mean, this one actually didn't feel great, but Julio's always going to be a Falcon in my eyes, so I personally was like, okay, end of the career, I get it. He wants to try to win a Super Bowl. No offense, Atlanta, you're not getting there. I love Kyle Pitts, but this kind of makes me feel maybe we should have went quarterback, but then the Matt Ryan contract is insane. I don't know. Falcons did not do this correct. Yeah, they did not do this correctly. If Matt Ryan's contract was, easily cuttable, I think they might have went Fields or went a different direction. But they went Pitts, and I mean, Matt, you are as big as a Pitts fan as I am. So talk to me about what this does to his value, and also Julio and A.J. Brown and all that is involved.
Well, first of all, I just don't like, you kind of mentioned it, but I don't understand what the Falcons are doing. Like, if they weren't going to take a quarterback, then it seems like they are going to try to win this year, question mark. And if, if you're going to do that, then why would you move Julio? Like, was there really, I mean, is it really just selling before the wheels fall? Do they know something that we don't? Like, it just is a bizarre move from a team standpoint. Presuming they were going to try to win this year, right? So that's the first thing. For Pitts, I think now we can probably reasonably expect close to a 20% target share for Pitts in this offense now. And we'll talk about him a little bit more in the draft, but I think you have to love it for him. You have to really love it for Calvin Ridley, who really shined last year when Julio missed time. So I think he got up to averaging 20 points per game in PPR leagues in games where Julio was out of the lineup. So love it for him. As long as Ryan is still a quarterback, right? Because we did see him struggle last year as well when Julio was out of the lineup. We loved it for our Ridley fantasy points, but as a team, it wasn't so good for them, right? So very interesting trade. I don't understand it from the Falcons' perspective, and for the Titans, how do you not love adding that? Now they have 3 legitimate weapons there, and A.J. Brown is probably still going to have 120, 130 targets. Julio's going to get his 120 plus. So there's not really anything after those two in the passing game, and of course Henry there. So good for the Titans. I would say slightly less good for Julio in terms of fantasy production, and great for Ridley and great for Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what about you, Tim? What do you think?
The Titans gave up, a second and a fourth for Julio and a sixth. So I think the trade value itself is great for the Titans.
It's funny because they brought it up how Mohamed Sanu might actually have costed more for the Patriots to acquire than Julio, depending on where that pick lands.
Yeah.
Which is gross to even think about.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah, I completely agree with Matt. I think that A.J. Brown's still going to see the quantity. What I like for A.J. Brown is that same number should be even more efficient targets now as well, because it's not just, we got to definitely cover the stud over here. We got 2 studs on the outside now. So you should see a little bit more room for A.J. Brown to work this year, I would imagine. Really, I think this is going to help Derrick Henry like he actually needs it, though. They're going to be able to legitimately scare defensive backs and have them have to play coverage and not just bite on every play action. So Derrick Henry might see a little bit more, daylight in those seams that he's normally running through pretty good. Calvin Ridley, you got to like the bump up there. I had Josh Reynolds on 1 or 2 rosters.
That hurts.
Thinking if he's going to go into the season being the number 2 for the Titans, I'll take it. That's probably going to see 70, 80 targets. So I thought he was a very cheap piece. But it's Russell Gage season, baby. Let's go. If you're looking for the value piece, Russell Gage, when Julio was out last year, did perform pretty well. He was a flex option for people. So there you go. He could possibly be another flex option this year for you. But overall, real life, I like the trade for the Titans. I think it's good value. As long as, like Matt said, as long as there's not anything, behind the curtain that nobody else seems to know about with Julio and the wheels aren't getting ready to fall off, I think the Titans got themselves a steal.
Yeah, he's 32 years old, so the wheels are still there, but the tire tread is definitely getting a little thin. You're thinking to yourself, maybe this winter I'll be able to last, but next winter I might need to think about getting some new tires. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Julio. Atlanta. It might have made sense if they took Jamar Chase at 4, if they had the thought they would trade Julio, but I think the fact that they can't even sign their draft picks kind of puts them in a tough position. And
Matt brought up a good point, though. The whole talk was we're going to go for it this year.
Yes.
And, they're talking out one side and doing something out the other. So
yeah, when you're starting running backs, Mike Davis. Now Mike Davis is fine. He did well last year. If quads are the new BMI, so his quad BMI is through the roof, which is a
quad
new
MI.
analytics tool. a quadamai. Yeah, that's perfect. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tough as an Atlanta fan. But I kind of know I'm used to it, so don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
Hey, at least they got him out of the conference. It's not like they traded him in division and they're gonna have to see him twice or something this year.
That's true. I mean, it wouldn't have shocked me if Tampa Bay used like kind of hypnosis on him and was like, "Hey, trade him to us," because I mean, Tampa Bay has everybody. All right, you guys, we're gonna get right into this draft, but first, I'm gonna talk to you about League Tycoon. A lot of people want to upgrade their redraft league to a salary cap dynasty league, but there's a lot of friction that can cause this. You got to change the whole league. People got to agree to it. You got to switch off from the ESPN Yahoo sleeper, which you've been on for years. You got to explain to the league mates how everything works, and that's a pain. And then the commission has to manually maintain everything. I'm in a league. I'm in an MFL league. I like the MFL process, but yes, it is a pain updating the contracts, switching it to, when the player's drafted, you got to go in manually and change that. You got to change it. If they're on the taxi, you got to put taxi squad. Yeah, it can be a little bit much, and League Tycoon is trying to change that. They don't have to do anything manually. That is the commissioner. They are going to let your league mates help you and do the work. They're going to make everything easy to transition over to League Tycoon. They're going to make it automatic. Almost everything's automatic. The app is great. They got the best UI, UX, modern mobile app. You're going to notice things that you haven't with other things. You don't need to be a teacher for your league mates. It's going to be simple transition. So if you want to go try it out, League Tycoon, that is League Tycoon. Try it out today. Go check it out. All right, guys, here we are. I'm going to hand the reins to Tim. I'm going to go, wipe these tears off my cheeks with the Julio Jones news. But Tim is going to take the wheel, and we're going to do this draft.
Yeah. So as we have now, I think this is year 4 of the Animal Comps episode. So as we have now for 4 straight years, we bring Mr. Matt Price, the most knowledgeable person in the fantasy industry when it comes to animals, as well as fantasy.
I thought you were going to slim it down a little more, like the most knowledgeable animal advice in fantasy football in the Western Hemisphere of the United States.
In the Southwest region quadrant. No, Matt. Every year, Matt brings some knowledge that just absolutely blows my mind. He I could go as deep as I possibly, my knowledge will take me, trying to find an animal, thinking I got him on this one, and he'll spit out some other fact that I'm like, didn't find that on the internet. Wow.
I'm sitting here saying like, oh, it's brown. It's got brown hair, just like this player.
It's got paws.
It's got paws.
It's got paws.
It's got an opposable thumb. I know that.
So we do a super flex 1-round draft. We just rotate through. So we were kind of kicking it around who was going to get the first pick, and Doug stepped up. He volunteered himself. He made the easy pick for everybody. He went with Trevor Lawrence at the 101 here. Like we mentioned, Doug can't be here today, but he sent us his comps. So for Trevor Lawrence, he comps him to a liger. He's pretty like a tiger, and obviously he was one in college as well there at Clemson. He has the mane of a lion, and he is an apex predator of this QB class. The chosen one, much like Simba. Everything you see in Jacksonville is yours, Trevor. He has deceptive speed for his size and stalks his prey with a cool, calculated demeanor. Now, this was his shortest of the comps. I do like it. I do have a question. Are ligers actually real?
Ligers are real. However, they are a man-made abomination, basically, where people take a tiger and lion and put them together, and sometimes they breed. They are not in the wild, so they're not stalking or hunting anything. So that is definitely false. The way they know how to eat is when someone hands them a piece of meat. That's how they know how to eat. So sorry, Doug, you're not here to defend yourself, but that one is should have just went straight tiger, because that would have been easier, right? Because he went to Clemson, he's a Clemson tiger. Yeah. You should have just went with the actual animal instead of the human created hybrid. And
or
I
just
think
a cat.
I'm
a cat.
And I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look it up to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that ligers are also sterile. So, it's like a mule almost, where like you can make them, but they can't make more of them.
Okay.
So, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is the case. So that's also not, super attractive for describing Trevor Lawrence, I guess.
Now, if you would put a tiger and a lion together, you said sometimes they mate and they create a liger. Do sometimes other things happen?
And only one is left in the cage?
You mean, do they sometimes kill each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a pretty horrible practice, in my opinion. Now, there are some natural occurring hybrid animals. Like, for example, you might hear something called a grizzolder or a grizzly bear. And that's a lot due to climate change, how things are being brought together just because of the way the ice melts and things like that. So there has been some examples of polar bears and grizzly bears mating in the wild. So
that would be a gigantic bear.
Yeah, you can look them up. Prisley, they go by two names. Prisley, depending on which one was the male, which one was the female. The same with ligers, because there's also tyons, I think they're called. Anyway, it depends on which of the male or the female of which species it is. But yeah, Prisley bear or grizzler bears or something you could look for.
So it's kind of like he's going to take her name, she's going to take his name type thing.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Wow. So there you were, Doug. Your first one didn't hold up. But we went to Matt Price for the 102. And as Tyler said, apparently Matt and him are both on the Pitts train because that's who Matt Price went with at the 102. He went with Kyle Pitts, the Atlanta Falcons' newest pass catcher. What's your animal comp for Mr. Pitts?
I went with the giant Pacific octopus for two reasons.
Ooh.
Two reasons. Number one is Kyle Pitts has a gigantic catch radius, and octopus arms are super stretchy. They can be, like 12 feet, I think, in diameter when they fully stretch out their both sides of their tentacles. And they have super strong suckers. Kyle Pitts is very strong at the catch point. Giant Pacific octopus have about 240 suckers per arm, and each individual sucker can lift or their suction power is about 35 pounds. So that's about 8,400 pounds that they can manipulate per arm. And there's about 1,920 suckers total on an entire adult giant Pacific octopus's body, so that's about 67,000 pounds.
Holy.
But my favorite thing about octopus in comparing to Kyle Pitts is that Kyle Pitts is also a master of disguise. He's fooled everyone into thinking that he's a tight end and not a wide receiver. And octopus are also masters of disguise. They can send signals to their chromatophores, which are color-changing cells, to change to any color that they can possibly mimic their surroundings. And then they also have areas of their body, their muscle fibers, called these papillae. I think I'm saying the word wrong, but they can constrict these spiderweb-shaped muscle patterns to not only mimic colors of their surroundings, but also texture. So they can take these and constrict these muscle fibers into bumps and spikes and like even branching things. So not only can they perfectly mimic the color of their surroundings, also the texture of their surroundings. So Kyle Pitts has fooled everybody into thinking he's a tight end by his designation when he's actually a wide receiver. So he is also a master of disguise.
That is well done.
Okay. My favorite one of all time was 2017 when he comped Christian McCaffrey to what was it again?
A mantis shrimp.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was because of its eyes.
Yeah, its
I think.
vision. They have like 360 degree, like the most complex eye of any animal.
And this is this might be my new favorite comp for a player. Like this is definitely blown my mind. I love it.
Yeah, that is some big time octopus info there for sure. Oh, wow. I like that a lot, Matt. So 103, Tyler, you were up and you took?
I took Trey Lance.
There you go.
And I actually wanted Trey Lance because of the comp. He's from Minnesota, and you know what Minnesota has a lot of?
Gray wolves.
Not lakes, white-tailed deer. We have a lot of white-tailed deer, and that's what I'm comping Trey Lance to. And the reason? From Minnesota. Trey Lance is from Minnesota. And they have very good eyesight and different senses. Their smell is good. I mean, I don't know about Trey Lance's smell, but they can sense their surroundings. And Trey Lance has fantastic sense of a play. He had 27 touchdowns one year, 0 interceptions, so he kind of knows where to go with the ball. I mean, there's times when he can look like he's a deer in a headlight. So he gets kind of caught, trapped when the play breaks down. There's times when that happens, and it's just like a white-tailed deer. The lifespan is 14 years, and honestly, I feel like that's a perfect lifespan for Trey Lance in the NFL. A good, successful career, 14 years. I mean, with his running ability, I wouldn't expect him to be a player that goes to his 40s. Maybe he's a Pat Mahomes-esque type player that kind of pumps the brakes on the running and focuses more on the throwing. But, I mean, 14 years is perfectly fine with me for a lifespan of a quarterback. And a white-tailed deer, can run 30 miles per hour, jump 10 feet. You know who else is very athletic? Trey Lance. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in this draft. Trey Lance, white-tailed deer.
Love it.
Final answer.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is the one I wasn't 100% sure about. So at 104, I went with Justin Fields. I really like Justin Fields. I also wanted to go with something that, went along with his athleticism a little bit. But I was like, no, that's what everybody expects. So I kind of did some research on a few animals, and this is what I landed on. Don't know if I love it. Justin Fields is a dung beetle. Dung beetles can pull 1,141 times their body weight. This is the equivalent to Tyler pulling 6 double-decker buses at the same time.
Only too short of what I can.
You've done 4 before. You haven't touched that 6 yet. Well, there's always time. We can work. That's what the summer's for, Tyler. Some dung beetles have the ability to guide themselves by moonlight and the stars in the Milky Way sky. So, with that being said, Justin Fields is destined to be a star, and he will definitely need that dung beetle strength to pull this Bears team into the playoffs.
I was hoping there was something actual with dung because he's on the Bears.
I
feel like there should be a
it's.
connection there.
They roll it up into a ball, and some of them eat it, some of them bury it, and then they lay their eggs in it. But I didn't want to do like Allen Robinson laying the eggs, and I don't know.
As a Packers fan, I love it because the Bears are garbage.
No, I like it. I mean, he's kind of tough to comp. I mean, he's super athletic.
Yeah, it would have been pretty easy to find like a very agile, quick animal to go with, but I don't know. I was looking at him saying he's going to have to be the rock for this team, I think. Yeah.
Matt, what is your thoughts on Fields? I honestly don't know what you feel about Fields in Chicago.
I like it fine. He's quarterback 3 for me, so this falls perfectly in this draft, right? I don't know. I think he's going to be fine, but he fell for a reason. Whether it's the external, made up issues or not. I don't know, but it's hard for me to get excited about him. Like I said, because I'm a Packers fan, so I pass on him everywhere for Pitts, basically. But where I had an opportunity to take him, so I don't have any. But I think he's going to be successful. You love the deep accuracy, right? And that's going to be great for Allen Robinson. So. I think he's right in that, like just outside of like the quarterback 1 range right now in Dynasty for me. So like right in the same range as, trying to think who I have it, like quarterback 12, like right around like just before like the Tua range, I would say was where I would put somebody like Fields.
All right.
So we were back to Doug at the 105, and Doug decided to go with Najee Harris, the Pittsburgh Steelers running back. So Najee's comp for Doug is a donkey. He's going to be a pack animal that carries a lot of the load in this offense. He'll carry it without complaint, and he'll get the job done week in, week out. Najee's play style fits the jackass because they can defend themselves by biting, striking with their front hooves, or kicking with their hind legs, which speaks to the physical nature of his game and the ability to welcome contact and be physical through it. It is considerably more difficult to force or frighten a donkey into doing something it perceives as dangerous for whatever reason, so I don't think the Pittsburgh offensive line will be an issue mentally for Mr. Harris. So, Doug's got a donkey here. He is right. They can be very stubborn animals. I don't think that's going to necessarily help him with his blocking there in Pittsburgh. But yeah, the donkey's not necessarily easily scared, so he's going to probably step up and do his best to win the battle.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good one.
Okay. All right. So then, Matt, we were back to you at the 106. Another great pick here. Super athletic receiver Jamar Chase from LSU. What was your animal comp from Mr. Chase?
This one is nowhere in depth as as the octopus one, unfortunately. But I picked a polar bear because I think Kyle Pitts, one of his best traits is his strength at the catch point, going up and get those contested catches despite not having the most size. As a receiver that would have that as a strong point of their game. So, you see him go up and snatch balls out of defenders' hands all the time, especially I love the one against Vanderbilt where he goes up over the guy, makes the catch, and draws the penalty as well. So I comped him to a polar bear because they have the largest paws in the animal kingdom, about a foot in diameter. So not as nuanced, but massive, strong, largest land carnivore in the world, largest paws in the world.
Wow.
He's kind of got that mentality too, Jamar Chase, like a polar bear's mentality.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just gonna go out here. I'm gonna do my thing. Find me a seal.
once it has it in his hands, it's not getting away from him.
Yeah, you're mine.
Yeah.
Enjoy. All right, so we were back to Tyler here at 107. Tyler, you took one of my favorite guys in this draft, but applaud you for it. Javonte Williams, running back out of Denver.
This one I thought would be harder to comp, but it actually came quite quickly. I'm going to go with the Cape Buffalo. Now, the Cape Buffalo is not afraid to take on anything. Yeah, it's almost fearless. And the twins are very rare for this animal. So, in my opinion, Javonte is like hard to comp. People say Nick Chubb and stuff. I don't see it. I see a better pass catcher. I feel like he's a one-of-a-kind type player. Now, Buffalo, there's a saying for Buffaloes. I don't know, Matt, if you've ever heard this, but they never forgive. And there's a reason. Apparently, I read this, that if a hunter hurts them or wrongs them, years later, this buffalo will remember and it will chase after them in remembering years later that this specific hunter hurt them or anybody that's close to them. Is that true?
I don't think I could go along with like the exact person, but somebody that looks like a hunter in similar clothing or
apparel,
gear, that has a big gun or whatever. I could see that. I think it would be a stretch to say that it's the individual person, the exact person that may have hurt them before.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't scream out like, "Hey, are you Greg?"
Like, just as an example,
Greg,
like at the zoo. I mean, it depends on the animal. I think when you have a limited pool of people that you're dealing with, the animal can recognize individuals. But more to the fact, like even if I was to walk by an area that I don't work with, I'm wearing the same uniform as other zookeepers, so they probably clue on that kind of thing.
Okay, and the Cape Buffalo is 4 times stronger than an ox. So they are super strong. And like I said, they're fearless. They take things head on. And that's how I think of Javonte. I mean, he is a man that played linebacker, went to running back. He talks about that, how that's how he plays. His running style is, he's going to take you head on. He's not scared of anything. And that's my comp for Javonte.
Yeah, and lions don't want to mess with Cape Buffalo. So
yeah, I read that they actually kill lions. Yeah, and sometimes they'll seek them out to get their young.
Wow.
Yep.
Did not know that. Tyler, you brought up the Nick Chubb comparison. I keep hearing that too. I think he is a good mix of that Cleveland backfield, honestly. I think he's got a lot of the balance and contact strength that you see out of Kareem Hunt. And then he's got, that home run ability of a Nick Chubb, a little bit more towards Kareem when it comes to the passing ability. I think he's a good mix of those two guys there.
So I do want to say there's a couple players that you don't, like Tyreek Hill, you don't comp. Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry are two players that I stay away from comping because me personally, Nick Chubb is the best runner in the NFL. Hands down. I think he's the best pure running back in the NFL. And Derrick Henry is just big and fast, and we've never seen anybody like him.
Yeah, he's an animal all of his own, which, maybe we should start comparing big running backs to Derrick Henry.
The Derrick Henry.
He's a Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I would say that he's not as good a pass catcher as Chubb either. I think Williams is more of like the dump off option in the NFL, not necessarily the receiving weapon, and not that Chubb has really been used that way either. But I think we've seen his receiving ability come to fruition. I'm not sure Javonte has Chubb's breakaway speed either.
Yeah, I agree on that.
But
one.
I like him.
Yep. All right, so then I was up next at the 108. I took Jalen Waddle. So my comp for Jalen Waddle. He may be a dolphin via the draft, but in real life, he is a sailfish. The fastest marine animal on the planet with the ability to climb up to 70 miles an hour in the water. Jalen fits this description. Sailfish are also considered a top predator in the ocean. I look for Waddle to use his bill to strike fear in defensive backs across the league. You could have did the cheetah, but there's already somebody in the league that goes by that name. Waddle very fast, but also a very toolsy player. So I like the sailfish. I didn't know they could go that fast in the water, and they're saying, when they actually break the water and go in the air, they can actually gain an extra couple miles an hour when they're out of the water. So that is a fast fish, that's for sure. So I like that for Jalen Waddle.
Love it. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right.
I see, like, having these animal comps, it kind of makes me want to go like watch videos of a sailfish swimming in the water because
They're badass,
that is
man. They are awesome.
freaking fast. That is so fast.
Yeah, that's pretty daggone crazy. And what's odd is these are one of the biggest like sports fish targets. Like when people go out sports fishing down in the Caribbean or off the coast of Florida, people are looking to get the sailfish and things like that. They've actually done studies. A sailfish's normal lifespan is something like 13 years on average. The average lifespan of a sailfish that has been caught and then re-released is somewhere between 5 and 6 years.
So don't go catching them. Let them live.
Yeah, it is. I thought that was an interesting little fact. So at the 9th pick, Doug took Jalen's former teammate, Devonta Smith, the now Eagles wide receiver. And Tyler and I agree, probably Doug's best written comp, and we'll get into that here in a second. But very, very well done, Doug. Devonta Smith, he has comp to the Black Widow spider. Smith is beautiful to look at on the field, but don't forget he is quite deadly when he's on it. He spins his web beautifully with precise routes, and once you're caught in it, you are just his prey. Do not let his size fool you. His wingspan and ability to pluck the ball out of the air and contort his body is graceful, just like the Black Widow spider moves effortlessly in the wild. Smith may not look strong in the same way that silk appears to be fragile, but it is strong as steel wire of the same size. Smith is not to be underestimated. So I think this is a beautifully written comp because, despite the fact he put up crazy numbers his last year at Alabama.
Yeah, historical numbers we will probably never see.
Oh, the body, and I don't know if the size will. Yes, historically, people of this size don't do well in the NFL, but people of this size also historically don't put up those numbers in college either. So,
bingo.
It's going to be an interesting case study with Devonta Smith, but I think the comp to a Black Widow spider is very well done here.
Yeah, I like it. And, they have those skinny little legs just like Devonta Smith. So.
Yes, they do. He does have little spider legs.
I mean, it's funny because I posted a picture of 3 of the most talked about quad running backs and all that. And then I posted Devonta Smith right next to all of them. And I mean, in today's, maybe in 10, 15 years ago NFL, Smith would be a non-factor.
No.
Because of the, being able to push more and press more. In today's NFL, I have no idea why people don't think he can succeed. And honestly, it's probably the quarterback that you got to think about most. But other than that, he's got every tool you want in a receiver. He's Jerry Jeudy, sub 10 pounds. That's my opinion. I mean, and it's all in the legs. Like, he's just got tiny legs.
They are not freakish, but you see the guy on the
Soccer
football
player
field and you're
legs.
like, man,
Yeah.
where's the rest of your leg at, guy? You know, I don't know.
Maybe he
So-
just slides through things like a cat can slide through the bottom of a door so easily. That's why you can't press them.
So Matt, in our chat when we were doing the draft, let us all know that we absolutely hate Travis Etienne,
Yeah, what the heck?
and the slide had gone too far. So Matt jumped in here with the 10th pick and took Travis Etienne. Why don't you tell us your animal comp for?
Well, I want to know why you guys hate Travis Etienne.
So,
First of all, he's my
I have to-
Tyler
I
is
have to-
just a running back hater.
I just don't like running backs in Dynasty because they don't obtain value long, and it's starting to bother me big time. But I have to confess, I have more shares of Etienne in Dynasty leagues than I do of Najee and Javonte Williams combined. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, he's my running back one in the class just because because of what you said. To be honest with you, Najee, I think his situation is great for this season, but once Ben moves on, I just don't know. I think long term he could be in a worse situation than Etienne, who has this exciting new offense with new quarterback, and I think he doesn't need the volume that Najee is going to get to be successful in the NFL. And just to segue into that, because I think he's the most explosive running back in the class, he doesn't need 30 touches a game to be a fantasy producer for us. And his acceleration is his best trait for me. The way he pulls away from defenders in a short area. So this is a cop out. In fact, Tim just mentioned not using Cheetah because somebody else did, but I'm not using Cheetah because he's the fastest land animal in the world. I'm using Cheetah because of their acceleration, which is 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, which is faster than most automobiles on the road, other than the supercars like Corvettes and Aston Martins, McLarens. Those things can hit 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, but the Cheetah can as well. So focusing more on the acceleration than that top speed.
Can you imagine driving a car and starting it up, and then like you're in a Corvette and you're like, oh, nothing can beat this, and then you look to your left and there's a cheetah running side by side next to you. You're just like, oh god.
Yeah. That is pretty. I didn't know they got that. I knew they went that fast. I didn't know they got up to speed that fast though.
Yeah, I think top speed is like 75 or 76 miles an hour.
God,
so
they're getting faster.
most of that in 3 seconds.
they're getting faster.
Imagine we taught cheetahs how to use a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming out like DK Metcalf.
Yeah. I did see a picture of a squirrel the other day that I swear to God the thing had a 6-pack on it.
Have you ever seen pictures of like the red kangaroos, or they're
Yes.
just
Yeah, they're
jacked
just-
up? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I guess you could say they're kangaroo jacked.
There's that. Is
You-
it a
you get-
commercial or something, like a Bud commercial or something, where he goes out and punches the kangaroo and it just stands up and looks at him?
There was
I think so.
there was
Or
a
maybe
video,
that's real. I don't know.
There was a video like 2 years ago where the kangaroo
going after
started
a
messing with this
dog,
guy's
right?
dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he like ran out there, and I don't know what possessed him to do, but he swung on the kangaroo. He threw a hook at the kangaroo, and the kangaroo goes like,
And
what?
then he just stands up like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
And he, come on, Spot, run. He and the dog run away. But yeah, some of those kangaroo pictures, they're just massive.
I don't know why we're talking about kangaroos and gyms, but I just imagine somebody punching a kangaroo and then him setting down his like gym bag. The kangaroo himself setting down a gym bag, like, all right, let's do this.
Let's go. Let's go, bro. Let's go. So, Tyler, you were up next with the 11th pick, and you said this pick was for comp reasons only.
Because I was excited to comp this player just
Okay.
because it's Mac Jones of the Patriots. There's 2 comps. I decided to go with one. I wanted to go like a body image type for a comp, but because, that picture with a shirt off and a cigar. But I decided to go a different route, and I decided to go the parrot. And a parrot is one of the most intelligent birds, which Mac Jones is. Super intelligent. But you know what else a parrot does? It kind of copies what it is told. And that's Mac Jones to a T. He's going to be kind of the get it into the microphone and the helmet and then just kind of do what the coach says. That type of player. That's why people thought he'd fit well with Shanahan, because Shanahan could kind of be the conductor, or he would be the conductor and then Shanahan would be kind of like the master, the puppeteer. Parrots, they imitate other people, and they live for 80 years. And yes, a parrot can outlive you. If you have a parrot, there's a good chance that parrot's outliving you. So I think Mac Jones has a very long career, and if it's not as a starter, I think he's going to be a fantastic backup if he doesn't succeed as a starter. So I think we're going to hear a lot of Mac Jones. To me, Andy Dalton, same story. Andy Dalton people aren't fans of, but you know what? He's going to be in the league for a long time as a backup. It doesn't matter if you like him or not. I think Andy Dalton's going to be that 38, 39-year-old backup, kind of like a Fitzpatrick style here and there, but he's going to be around for a while, and that is why I comped him to the parrot.
I like it, and I want to use this opportunity to say don't get a parrot if you think you want a pet. And don't get a bird, and well, I guess especially a parrot, because they, like you said, they live so long. So if you don't have a plan for them after you pass on, then that parrot's going to suffer. And also, if you have children and you think you're just going to pass it to children, that's a horrible gift because parrots in general will bond to one person, maybe a couple of people. But if it doesn't have a relationship with your kids, if you're passing them on to your kids, then they're going to not be
you're
so
just
happy
passing
with
on
you.
a burden.
Yeah, that hates you, a bird that hates you, and you have to take care of, and yeah.
And then of course your kids are gonna spite you for doing it, so it's not gonna be a good image. So
Absolutely.
Wow.
You better leave them a lot of something else along with the parrots
Yes.
to make up for it.
I did not know that a parrot lived that daggone.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, like I said, I learned something every year.
Bad pet. Don't get one.
Yeah. All right. So the last pick in the draft here, the 12th pick, I went with Zach Wilson, quarterback for the New York Jets. So my comp, Zach Wilson, Jet QB, and former BYU product, like his mom, will always be a Cougar. Google it, people. Google it.
I feel like that's the only reason why you made this comp.
Hold on.
Would you say that he's making New York Cougar Town?
Oh, yeah. Known as a stalking animal, cougars also have the speed to chase down prey when needed. This surprisingly agile young man may just sneak up on his haters this year. Looking at you, Tyler. Looking directly at you, Tyler. The cougar has strong legs equal to Zach's live arm. Cougars also have well-documented flexibility to attack from multiple angles, just like Wilson's ability to throw from multiple platforms as well as arm angles. So, yeah, I got to sneak the his mom's a cougar thing in there. It worked out well.
Maybe I'll be a fan once he turns 15 or 16.
I get that. That was my very first thought. I was like, what's a young looking animal? And I was like, puppy?
I feel like honestly, I feel like cougars look young. Like their face doesn't change much. I could probably be wrong, and I probably am wrong. Which I'm probably wrong about Zach Wilson too. He'll probably just blow up, and Tim will be able to shove it in my face for the rest of his life. But
is the BYU Cougars. It's like his mom's hot.
This is the.
It's like it writes itself.
This is the stuff you get at DHH. I mean, nothing short of brilliant.
So I don't know. Matt, do you think the cougar works for Zach or his mom?
I actually have. I don't think I've seen his mom, so I'll have to go and confirm that later.
Yeah, just Google it.
But I think it works like aesthetically. I guess I'm in Tyler's camp. I'm not a Zach Wilson fan either, but as a football player. But sure, I'm okay with the Cougar comp.
My favorite thing with Zach Wilson right now is how a lot of stories are. Well, he had some ups and downs. It's like, okay, well, give us more. Tell us more.
He had one outlier season, so.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I'm sure you guys did. It's old by this point but I think it was on draft night where he was, or maybe it was at a basketball game. Or something. He was standing next to a bunch of the other Jets. He looks so uncomfortable. I just feel like New York media is going to eat him alive, like even more than they did Sam Darnold. So
you're going from
you got
BYU,
a young Utah Mormon kid who's now in the big city. Guys were throwing up, peace signs and stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't know what was happening, got a little nervous, but he was visibly shook. He was looking all around.
If he's visibly shook at that point, what's he going to do when those players the same size of those players are bearing down on him after 2 seconds after the snap?
I mean, they say spirits and ghosts and demons kind of stay in the same house. So is Zach Wilson going to see the same ghost that Sam Darnold saw in New York?
Well, you saw when Gase had his press conference. That's what his eyes were going funky. He was following that ghost around the room.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Zach Wilson's already seeing the ghost too.
I feel like there's some Blake Bortles seeing ghosts going fetal in his future.
I do think Wilson's delivery is 100 times better than Blake Bortles ever was. I mean, Bortles' arm motion was not good.
So, but that's our Animal Comp draft, our Animal Comp episode. I think Doug might have won it there with his Black Widow comp. That was very well written by Doug. I like that one a lot. But yeah, I actually found Zach Wilson's. I was typing something in about Zach Wilson, typed in Zach Wilson, and sometimes it autofills things. And one of the options was mom. And I was like, okay. So, that's why people are searching this. All right.
Yeah.
So.
And she's very vocal about her son. And honestly, I think the Jets media is going to like her more than they're going to like Zach Wilson, because she actually loves to talk. She likes just chat about her son. Yeah. She'll definitely fit right in.
Yep, absolutely. So that's going to do it for our Animal Comp episode this year. Once again, thank you to Mr. Price for joining us and having this fun. It's always one of my favorite episodes of the year. Can't wait for next year already.
Anytime, man. I can talk about things other than animals too. So if you ever want, I know you like to save it for this episode, but if you ever want to talk, other stuff, I'm happy to come on.
Wait, you talk football?
I do. Surprisingly, I talk football.
Where do you talk football at? Why don't you tell us where you?
That's why Tyler's a professional. It's that segue right there. You can find all of my work over at dynastyleaguefootball.com on the flagship podcast with Ryan McDowell and Dan Myler every week. At Dynasty Game Night with John Bosch and Russ Fisher, and recently Rocky Petrea has been doing some games for us. Follow Twitter at MattPriceFF. Let's talk some football.
If you want to have fun, listen to Dynasty Game Night, because as a listener, you'll sit there and you'll know an answer and you'll scream at your radio in your car. And I can tell you from experience. I can tell you from experience.
Or you hate yourself because you don't know that, or you think you know and you don't.
Maybe. I can tell you from experience, then you think, hey, I could do well on this. And then you actually get on that show and you're like, I can't remember anything. I'm the dumbest man alive. I swear to God.
I got one answer right, I think, when I was on your first year you did it. And I have not been invited on.
I was going to say, it might be time to have you guys on again. It's been a while. So I'll have to make that happen.
I listen to the episodes when they come out and I'm like, man, where were these questions at when I was on? But then you guys will hit me with some things on there that I'm like, yeah, those are those questions I was getting, because I don't know. I have no idea. But they're a lot of fun to listen to, and you guys have a great time, especially when Bosch, drinks a couple extra ones.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yes.
You can't get Bosch to shut up on that show.
I love this.
All right, everybody, that will do it for this episode 264. We are going to record early this week for next weekend's episode. I'm going to be up north. We're going up to the cabin. So we will be around a 50-50 chance of an episode happening, but we will get right back on board and in the swing of things again as soon as our vacations kind of round up. But you know what? It's summer. Let's enjoy it. You guys enjoy the nice weather and stay safe. See you guys later.